and thank all the people who spoke. Very passionate and really felt a lot of the needs that you all have. All of us have it. um, there's no question in my mind that we have a housing crisis, but it is, as some of the speakers said, it's strictly a supply and demand issue. We don't have enough housing, but we have too much of a demand. A elected official in Alameda County used to teach economics at UC Berkeley said, this CASA compact is not going to solve the housing crisis. Nothing is going to solve the housing crisis until we start controlling the demand, which is jobs. And that means not only what type of jobs, where the jobs are, and all aspects of that. So, and he's an economist. And so that was not even looked at in this CASA compact. And I attended almost every single, I've said this once before, every single CASA technical and steering committee meeting. And I was very concerned about the lack of representation of cities. We are a membership organization. We have 101 cities and 9 counties. And yet, on the CASA compact, there was far more representation for big cities. They were well represented. Was not represented adequately at all was the small to medium-sized cities. We're the ones that are really having the problems and providing the services because we don't have the money, and working with our school district to make sure that they get the property tax so that they could teach their children. And frankly, the taxes are going up, and I'm hearing people all the time that the taxes are going up so much that they are leaving California because of that. And those taxes that we place on everybody is trickled down to people who rent. And so anyway, so I wanted to state up front that I believe this CASA compact process was flawed. And I'm going to explain very briefly why. First of all, it started December 2016 at an MTC meeting. I was there because that was also the opportunity they were going to start talking about taking us over, combining, not giving us the money to continue on our own. So they started the compact without ABAG's buy-in or input. It was in Plan Bay area in 2017, but this executive board never authorized ABAG to be a party to the compact. If you go back into the minutes, it was never brought to us to approve us to be part of the compact. And we were not involved in selecting the co-chairs. We're not involved in selecting any of the committee members. And I really feel that the major stakeholder was missing, and that was small to medium-sized cities, which is adversely being impacted with this compact. And the other thing that really bothered me a lot was when one of the co-chairs reported that they were talking to the Bay Area delegation even before the compact was finalized by CASA or before ABAG or MTC had any of their input. And to me, that's really a violation of the ABAG bylaws because we're supposed to be representing them. And in this particular instance, I firmly believe that we are not. When I have been making my rounds to the different counties, I have to tell you more than half of the elected officials in this Bay Area have not even heard of the CASA Compact. They don't know what is in it. And when you start going through it with them, they have some very strong emotions. So there's no question, and it's really diminished in the staff report, that local control is being diminished, especially element number 5. But it's downplayed in the staff report, saying, oh no, it's not really going to take that much of local control away. That's absolutely wrong. SB 50 is modified element number 5. I was up at the League of California Cities today as part of the policy committees, and I was talking to the legislative team that's working on the housing issue. And they actually went to each of the legislators over the last week or so and said, hey, look it, the League is willing to help. You know, we don't want to say no, but you have to engage us in the process. And unfortunately, this CASA compact didn't. I think that one of the things that I learned today that is really a major flaw in this compact is that the builders in California are holding 450,000 building permits. They are holding those permits. They've already been given by the local agency, and they're not building those housing units. They are not. And when I asked why, they said, well, because of the economy. They just want to hold on to those building permits. Imagine if those 450,000 building permits were actually, you had a 1 year, and that's not even in the CASA compact. We issue the tentative maps. We keep rolling them over all the time. There should be a state law that says you can't do that, you know, and these are things that will put the rubber to the road for these developers when they get a permit. They have to, it's authorized, they need to build it. The compact also is flawed in the fact that it doesn't deal with how cities can provide services. We are a low property tax city. We get 5 cents on the dollar. 5 cents on the dollar. Our fire district gets 14 cents on the dollar. I pleaded with CASA. You need to deal with a split roll. You need to deal with Prop 13 for those cities who are low property tax cities and for those cities formed after 1978. And if you're formed after 1978, you don't necessarily get property tax money. And so you have to fiscalize, or however you say it, it's late, land use, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to provide the services and, or, you know, for your residents. But that's not in here. CASA took a look at it. I met with them individually for hours, and they decided no, they weren't going to take that on. But that's a fundamental flaw in this CASA compact. You build all the housing, but you don't have the money to provide the services. You don't have the funds for schools, for fire, sanitation, water supply, and it's an issue. Compact requires state legislation to implement, and that's good because we'll all have a chance to get at the table. So, you know, the comment made at the MTC meeting was that, well, if you don't sign on, you're not going to have a voice. You're not going to be able to have a seat at the table. Well, I'm sorry, but every city in this region, every county has a voice in Sacramento, regardless of whether you support this compact or not. And you don't need this to vote yes on this compact just to have a seat at the table. That's ridiculous. And I think that really insults our intelligence. The condition that MTC placed, and I'm sorry, Cindy, your condition doesn't do any better. In fact, you talk about local governments. You don't even talk about cities. Counties were well represented. And I
corrected myself. I was typing fast.
No. I know. I'm just, but what we need really, and ideally we'd have a General Assembly where our people could vote on this. But I know that that's not what everybody wants. Everybody wants to, you know, get this through or whatever. But the fact of the matter is we really should, ABAC should have been more engaged in this, and cities should have been more engaged, so we can have some things in here that we could support from elements 4 through 10, for at least for me. We don't need a regional agency. We got ABAC, at least so far. And for the funding of it, I mean, we need our growth in the property tax in order to provide the services. So, and I'm sorry, but businesses, they're not paying their fair share because they don't have to pay the increase in the property tax when the building turns over because of the split roll. But yet you and I, when we sell our house, we have to pay, when we buy a new one, we have to pay that increase in the property tax. So taxpayers and property owners are paying more than businesses, primarily because of the split roll. And I believe that we really owe it to our 101 cities and 9 counties to have them have an opportunity to vote. But in the meantime, I will be voting no on this compact, and I hope that others will join in that effort.
Thank you. And I want to take just apologize to my